Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star OS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 102. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for News Recap 150. So to start, just a quick summary of things to go over. The past week, there was an Atlas Brew. There was an actual announcement from the Star OS team about some updates to the UE5 version of the game, and Beyond the Horizon did a kind of recorded game session. And then I'll talk about kind of my thoughts on the state of Star OS and my journey playing Star OS. But before we get to that, just a couple of things to mention. One, if you've been following along, you know I've tried to, or I've started a Star OS DAO PIP, which is a proposal for a project. It's for an in-person community meetup platform. That was approved, and so I've been working this past week getting the draft of the proposal ready for posting. So just keeping you updated on my journey there. And then two things I do have ready to start out. One is a merch store. It's called Intergalactic Gear. It can be found at intergalacticgear.com. Officially open for business. Have a selection of different types of mugs with different Star Atlas logos and faction logos on it, so you can check that out. And I am very slowly rolling out some, I guess I'm calling it wall art, but you can think of it as posters or prints. There'll be a canvas version, photo print. There's another one I'm forgetting. Can't remember. Anyways, metal print, and then, and then there's two versions that are framed, so 5 total ones. And I'm using the Star Atlas original Rebirth posters, which Star Atlas gave us the images of those, so I'm using those as the different things, so you can get them in different sizes depending on your pricing. So if you, again, go to intergalacticgear.com, you can find those two merchandise items. And then lastly, I'm still working to eventually, hopefully, launch a kind of Star Atlas gamer community for people who are not joining guilds or don't find the chat interface of the Discord the most enjoyable one. So if you go to intergalacticcoalition.com, I do have an interest survey there. You can go ahead and fill that out. And once I get enough people who are interested, I'll go ahead and launch that platform. So we'll go ahead and get into the next section, which is sort of the different things that came out this past week from Star Atlas or the community. As is usual, the Star Atlas Brew occurred this last week on Wednesday. They did do something, well, feels different because never heard these people talk before, but they actually brought 2 of the level designers. Not sure if there's other level designers, but 2 gentlemen showed up that they had mentioned a while back were previously working on Star Citizen. So definitely had some experience within the gaming thing. So it was a really great thing. Star OS TV did a recording. So if you want to check that out, you can again go to my website at Intergalactic Herald, look for News Recap number 50, and there'll be a link, or you can look for Star OS TV on YouTube. But again, it was different. I mean, that we were kind of hearing again from different actual Star Atlas team members that are maybe not the founders or the econ team, and just hearing more. They did show some of the different things they were working on, which again, kind of behind the scenes type of thing. So again, it was very interesting. If you're interested in learning more about who they are, what they're doing, and kind of level design, definitely take a look at that. I guess almost 75% of the way through, Beyond the Horizon put out I guess we'll call it a gameplay trailer or gameplay session. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. But anyways, he and his son were actually playing in the past weekend, where there was kind of a effort within the community, just everybody at a certain time to try to get in, because I guess if I understand correctly, the current version now allows you to self-host network sessions. There's not I'm not 100%, if you listen to the podcast before, I'm waiting for the next patch, which actually I'll get into a second, and then see. But anyway, so he and his son were playing, and you can watch along. But again, one cool thing about it is just seeing the game in action, and I mean, looks like a game, I mean, there's actual engagement with people on the internet, in this case in the shooter mode and things like that. So anyways, I'll take a look at that. And then I kind of alluded to Star OS did put out a new Medium post that they were sort of recapping what they put out on the UE5 version of the game, but also mentioned that soon, I can't remember, I almost think there was a date, but I can't remember for sure, that there will be doing an update. And so mentioned a few changes they're making to the game, which I'll go into a little later. But yeah, so that's cool. So those sort of the big content that came out this past week, I thought I would pass along. Kind of moving into my next section, which is just my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas in the last week. I did really find the level designer chat really incredible. And I think, the main reason why is just we haven't had that exposure to 2 individuals who are actually building the things that we can now run around in the current version of the UE5 showroom. So, it was just kind of cool to hear that, get some of their background, people in the chat were asking questions and we were getting feedback. So, I mean, it was just, I think, a really great perspective we just haven't heard yet before. And I think in the past, the Star Atlas community team has done interviews, definitely with the founders, but just others. And I mean, I'm trying to remember, I think there was like, again, I forget the titles, but it was like, kind of somebody was working on the design of the vehicles or something. And I know sometimes maybe these different employees, I mean, they're not getting into this role to have a public-facing site. So, I mean, some people may just not want to be on camera, not want to talk about what they're doing in their day job. But it is kind of, again, just great to hear that perspective and to see and even get a little bit of the insider information on how they're building things and stuff like that. So, again, I just found it really interesting. Part of the reason I probably was even more interested is a long, long time ago, I was going to college to be an architect. And as I mentioned, I'm definitely on the older persuasion now. So gaming technology was just in its infancy, more game engines and level designing and things like that. But I remember reading one of my architecture books and they talked about jobs of the future. This is, I guess, back in the 90s. And one of them they said was actually game designer. And it just, I don't know why it just stuck. It was just some interesting thing to read in one of my books in college. And I don't know, just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. So, I mean, didn't go that route and way too, it's so far in the past, my knowledge is completely gone. But anyways, I just had a little bit of that, oh yeah, I could have done that, or that might have been something I might have done if things were different, times were different, whatever. So anyways, the other thing I found really interesting on the Medium article that Star Atlas put out that the update was coming, one was just the fact that they did update it, because I remember in the past month they did mention that there was some issues with wallets, getting your old wallet to still come forward just by upgrading the software. And so if you can't get your wallet into there, you can't pull your crew and ships and things like that. So it was just unfortunate that that just wasn't working on the December release. And I kind of just decided, well, I don't want to jump through a lot of hassles just getting something that's an obvious bug that they would fix when they could. So apparently they are fixing it, and this is part of one of many things that were coming. And I'm sure once that was released, some of the other content creators will kind of go through the list of what's new. So, but one thing did kind of stand out as I was skimming the list, and it was noted that no longer will a crypto wallet be required to play the Star Atlas. I guess we'll just keep calling it the showroom. And I first didn't even think anything of it, and I'm like, oh yeah. But after a few days of thinking, I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. And kind of a little just speculation, given that, again, partly I wasn't going to play it until they could fix that. It did make me think, well, great, you don't have to worry about that. You just get in and play the game. But of course, you can't bring your ships. You can't bring your crew. But they've always talked that there was a free ship you could fly around in. So it wasn't like you couldn't do anything. And obviously with more of the emphasis now on the shooter mode, which I think just you get a crew person, just the default, and you can do some customizing the colors and things like that. So it started making more sense. But then as I even thought about it further, I was like, well, but wait, I thought the whole key on how Star Atlas is different is because it's based on crypto and you have assets you can have. And I was like, well, wait a second, what's going on here? And then I kind of went down the small rabbit hole of like, well, the shooter's fine. And again, watching Beyond the Horizon play, I mean, it looks fun, looks interesting. I've always been saying that the Surge gameplay mode looked really interesting when we were doing it. But they have decided to emphasize more of the shooter over the racing and kind of feel like the space exploration using our ships is, I mean, it's all on the roadmap, but definitely not kind of coming there. But finally, I kind of realized, again, this is beta, this is alpha. If the wallet is causing problems and you don't have to even have a wallet to get in, I mean, it just lowers the barrier to entry. And I think had been stated before, I mean, you could always play the game, like any game that has traditional ones. And then if you want to get into the crypto side and set up a wallet and then buy a ship or buy a crew. So again, I realized not to read too much into the removal of that. It's like, oh no, it's not, it's completely different. But definitely it feels like, again, totally open to different ideas and how to get moving forward. And again, there may have been just a really simple development reason why that was removed. But again, stood out partly because, again, I was waiting around to have them fix the other wallet things. So anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Partly I was focused a lot of my free time on moving my PIP proposal and writing it up. So brain was elsewhere. But anyways, so last section, just kind of my journey. Again, my goal is to try to craft a Mamba X. Been going really slow because I'm still moving my carbon back from the space station Starbase I mined it at back to the Central Space Station, meaning to spend some time to see if I should just sell it at the local market. But anyways, then the Solana issues with being so slow, it feels like it's causing a lot more time. But ran into a new problem, which is I ran out of fuel. So it sure felt like it was using more fuel, which got me thinking, is it wasting it because of the Solana issues? And I don't know, it just kind of felt like it was changing, even though the route is the same, the ships are the same. But anyways, I just, again, didn't have time to do it. So I decided to take one of my ships out of Score faction fleet that was just earning Atlas to go ahead and mine the hydrogen. And that was fine. And then I realized I had some crew that was sitting around that could do the crafting. So again, I was like, oh, cool, I'll start building hydrogen, mining hydrogen, crafting to fuel. But in the middle of the past week, noticed that the Solana usage went up. But again, I guess I'm doing 3 things instead of 1. So I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Again, still small, but definitely using more of it. Obviously, 3 times as many. And then at some point, I think what happened is it ran out of fuel. So the transport fleet stopped. Then I think it made fuel from the hydrogen, but the fleet didn't restart itself. And I do follow the Sly Discord where they're talking about the assistant, and there's talk about stuff getting stuck. So I'm not sure if that's what I experienced. But on the other hand, there wasn't enough fuel, so the fleet, I don't know how long until it rechecks. Anyways, it just took, stopping everything, starting everything, and started working again. So don't blame anything other than maybe just there. So I'm going to watch it a little closer this weekend to see if the mining of the hydrogen crafting to the fuel keeps up, or I think it might be time just to stop because I know I'm using more Sol, and just take the fleet out of transport, mine a whole bunch of hydrogen, craft it all in one transaction into fuel, and then just go for there. And I know I need to get back and find the time to research if I should just be selling on the local market and stop the transport, because obviously I'm spending how much fuel to transport it, where maybe the price difference between the 2 places negates all the effort I'm putting into it. So again, just sort of an update. Part of it, I guess, is just keep doing what I'm doing because I don't have time, but I'm getting the feeling I'm being inefficient, so I should probably stop. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. Again, do hope that patch for the UE5 is coming out soon, and then I think I'll definitely carve out time to just get in there and try it out for a little bit. So, but anyways, that's sort of it. Just again, to wrap up, totally open any guests. I know I said that and made one effort, and then the whole month goes by and haven't tried anything else. But again, still totally open to having guests. But also do want to mention again, if you're curious on getting some Star Atlas merch, I do have my merch store. So some mugs, some wall art. Go to intergalacticgear.com. And you can check that out there. And again, if you're interested in helping build a new kind of Star Atlas gamer community that's not a guild, not focused on kind of chat, but more about discussions and threaded and getting email alerts, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com. And that's it for the week. Hope you have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.